I'm currently in Romania. I'm in Bucharest. And the reason I'm talking to you at the moment is because I'm surrounded by something in the region of 200 Indian nationals. They're standing right behind me. I don't know if you can see them there. They've been arriving on buses from over the border all morning on a massive emergency evacuation. Now, I have spoken to several of these people. They're almost all students from Western, studying Indian nationals, but studying in Western Ukraine. I must say I've been incredibly struck by their bravery and sang-froid in the face of what must have been a pretty hairy ordeal, being evacuated at very short notice out of a war zone, something like a 12-hour coach journey, I'm told. You can probably see them just behind me here as they're queuing to check in the safety of this airport, soon to be boarding a flight to Mumbai in just a couple of hours' time.
Okay. So there are students who are waiting there to leave. If you can just speak to a few students as well, what are they saying? We understand there are several more who are stranded as well. Happy to know that there are several more, of course, who are waiting to go back home there.
That's right, yes. They're just queuing to check in at the moment, so they probably wouldn't appreciate me interrupting them live, but I conducted several interviews with them on the tarmac outside earlier, and I'm sure you'll be running those at length in due course. But yeah, I mean, they've been through quite an ordeal. Some of them told me that they'd been sheltering in sort of underground stations and bomb shelters for several days. And as you say, despite the fact that there are at least something in the region of 250 people being processed behind me as we speak, there's still many hundreds, if not thousands more Indian students still stranded in Ukraine. I mean, I was unaware of this, but clearly it's a very popular destination for study. These are almost exclusively medical students. I'm hearing reports that there's a large contingent of Indian students trapped in the southern port city of Odessa now for various geographical reasons. They're finding it very difficult indeed to get evacuated. So this may not be the last we hear of this.
Okay, Jonathan, also you said you've been interacting with the students. If you can tell us, to reach to the airport, did the students face any kind of problem? Have they been telling you about the kind of difficulty they faced, or was it completely smooth?
Well, smooth may not be the word. Look, obviously, without wanting to get too colorful about this, it's a war zone. You know, there are hundreds of heavily armored tanks roaming the streets. There are highly trained soldiers. And if you find yourself in the wrong place at the wrong time in a vehicle, in a soft-bodied vehicle, then it's not going to end well for you, is it? So that would have been my principal concern on a 12-hour coach journey. You know, what happens if we run into a firefight or something like that? Now, they tell me that the journey itself, relatively speaking, was peaceful in the sense that they didn't run into any military engagement, but nonetheless, and quite understandably, it was a very fraught and nerve-wracking journey for that reason. And something like 12 hours they were on the road, both on the Ukrainian side and on the Romanian side. So you can imagine their sense of relief at finally being here in the airport.
Okay, all right. Of course, you know, Ukraine has also assured all help to India, and the students have reached. But we also spoke to some of the students who said that, you know, they are stranded on the borders. They are not being asked to, they're not being let to pass as well. So, are you hearing anything of that sort? These students, perhaps, talking of, you know, the other students who are still there. Anything you're picking up?
Yeah, I don't know about. I'll have to ask them that question specifically later. I think I don't know anything about being stranded at the border in the sense of being unable to pass for lack of paperwork. I think the border, I'm told, is absolutely overwhelmed with refugees, not just Indian refugees, but of course refugees from all nations, and not to mention the Ukrainian refugees themselves, who are just as keen and just as entitled to escape, of course. So yes, there have been scenes of enormous human crushes and crises at the border itself. But as I say, there are still many, could be hundreds, could be thousands of Indian students, we understand, still trapped inside the Ukrainian interior, although it must be said that everyone here is overwhelming in their praise of the Indian embassy, the Indian consulate here, who, very few resources, have managed this extraordinary evacuation. I mean, I even saw them, handing out fruits and soft drinks, which they'd bought out of their own pockets. So thumbs up to them.